Welcome to 1969 by the way of May 2023. Now we have a special guest with us today. Sir, if you would, tell us who you are.
My name is Robert Burnham. I was one of the coaches at Christian County High School from 2000 until just last year. I was head coach and assistant coach during that time.
So about 22 years
Yes.
worth of the to the Christian County program. Now, I think you are maybe a little bit east. You grew up, you wrestled a little bit east of Hopkinsville. Tell us about your wrestling journey to get here.
Well, I started wrestling when I was in about third grade in the state of Maine. I had a family member that was involved in the program there, and it was one of those things that I found out there was a sport that you could do where you got to do a little damage to people, and
Yep.
I was definitely not going to be a hockey player. That was my goal in life. I wanted to be the next Bobby Orr.
I got you.
You got to be able to skate to play hockey.
Yep.
So that wasn't going to happen. So I found my way to wrestling and have been doing it ever since.
And just out of curiosity, what brought you to Christian County?
The military. My wife and I were stationed here at Fort Campbell.
Okay.
She's from the Virgin Islands. I'm from Maine, so Fort Campbell, Clarksville area is a happy medium in terms of temperature.
So I was going to say, if nothing can bring people together like a military base.
Yes.
Fort Campbell. And speaking of Fort Campbell, this is, as you saw, a 1969 video review. And in doing some research, there's a gym in Ohio that's on the Ohio-Indiana border, and actually allegedly the way that the half-court line is, one part of the gym is in Ohio, the other part is in Indiana.
I've heard that.
But I think that Fort Campbell is the only school that competes in a different state, like where, they compete for the KHSAA instead of the Tennessee Athletic Association. The school is actually in Tennessee.
It is. It actually is.
And they compete in Kentucky. And you may be able to help me out with this, but it was either in a history book or some random, everything's on the internet, it's got to be true. But apparently the reason that Fort Campbell is considered a Kentucky base is because they got the post office first.
Yes, the post office is on the Kentucky side,
Okay.
so it's a Kentucky base. It's more, the Fort Campbell itself is in both Christian, Stewart, Todd County in Kentucky,
Okay.
And Christian County in Kentucky, and then a majority of it's in Clarksville, and the high school is actually in Clarksville.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the Clarksville side,
Okay.
Tennessee side, but because it's Fort Campbell, Kentucky, they've always competed in Kentucky.
And that's, you learn stuff on the Alex Green YouTube channel. And if you follow Rob here on like social media, Instagram or Facebook, nobody beats his tie game. You have the strongest tie game, I believe, anybody at a Christian County high school. Now, if you can tell by the Christian County Athletic, this is the media room here, and Christian County is, I think, the only county in Kentucky with more than one high school where the other high schools have a state championship in wrestling. Christian County won it in 1988. Hopkinsville won it in 1985, 86, and 92. And then Fort Campbell won it in 1971. So all three schools that have wrestling have won a state championship. Now, Fort Campbell, over the last however many years, haven't been as, as dominant as they once were. But still, they have a deep tradition. And let me pull my handy-dandy phone up here. We're going to be watching the 133-pound match from the 1969 state finals between Steve Johnson of Fort Campbell and Dennis Kellems, I believe, of Flaget High School out of Louisville, which we know Flaget no longer exists. But we're going to be watching this. So you guys, of course, are seeing what we're seeing. We're at Trinity High School, and the K that you see there, the mat, that is the Kentucky School for the Blind mat. We like to give them their recognition because for a long time, the state tournament was held at high schools in Louisville. So, you ready to go to 1969?
Yes, sir.
All right, so kind of talk us through here whenever we get going. Now, they start on the 10-foot circle.
Yeah.
The Fort Campbell wrestler, I believe, got the white outer shorts on.
Yes. thought it was interesting. Neither of them wearing headgear. Right?
Yeah, and there's a few matches that we have. There were 12 weight classes in '69. Very few wrestlers actually wear headgear, and it was this is the state championship. You know what I'm saying? But these guys out there circling, not a whole lot of technique being shown.
Not a lot of action. Yeah, a lot of collar tie.
So
I think they're just feeling each other out.
Feeling each other out here. And actually, I have on the YouTube channel, it's in 1965, the KHSAA put out a article in their magazine called The Athlete. It was called How to Watch a Wrestling Match. And I go through and break down the rules they had them. And there were, of course, takedowns, near falls, or reversals, escapes. But now, he tried something right there, didn't get it, so they back out. They're both wearing knee pads, both wearing full-length tights.
Yeah.
Not out of bounds. Neutral. So what years did you wrestle in school?
I wrestled in high school from 1979 to 1983.
Did you wrestle in college too?
No.
Okay.
I went straight from high school to the military.
I got you.
And then after my military career, like I said, we got stationed at Fort Campbell, and eventually became a teacher. Got stationed got to work at Christian County.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to coach, but then I saw the program was dying, so I thought, well, I could help out.
Right.
And then I kind of got hooked and spent the next 20-something years
Yeah,
coaching.
for real. Now, do you see how you got the takedown and the referee pointed
Yes.
and held up? Now, nowadays we'd be saying, run a wing right there, but he's just got him around the waist, no
Tight waist.
no type of turn. That was the end of the period. So referee position. Fort Campbell wrestlers on the bottom. Out of bounds, out of bounds. This is one of the great finds in the art, that we've been able to locate is the footage of this 1969 because it's so cool to have, and see our history. Of course.
Like he's trying to run a tight waist baseball bat.
Yep. Trying to get the head under like a head lever.
Yeah.
Fort Campbell wrestler is fighting it off. So if you know either of these two gentlemen, please feel free to send them the video or contact me or Rob so we can get it to their families. We'd love for everybody to be able to watch it as the air conditioner kicks on. So we have wrestled a period and probably almost another minute of a period, and there's not been a single pin combination.
No, it's not very much action at all. Just the 2 points scored so far.
That's it. It's like he's trying to post up. He just doesn't really know what to do.
I'm surprised they haven't hit him for stalling either of them yet.
So we're out of bounds. We start again. Seems like it's the same referee position. Now, when I was editing to get this ready, like he's showing him what to do, but he does hit for a caution. So I don't think the caution existed way back. We have to have some of our historians get up with us on that. But
That's possible.
he's running. He's trying to expect for a switch there. I'm not sure if he knows what a switch is. Uh-oh. There we go. Nope.
Hook and roll.
Hook and roll, baby. Gotta get those hips over. Gotta step over right there. If we're trying to wrestle and coach here while we're watching, it never leaves you, does it? Never does.
It doesn't.
And Tony Harris, when we done his video, of course, Tony Harris, 1974 state champion there's a half. Run the half, son. Said that in high school back then, that if you if you chose top and you were able to ride your opponent out the whole period, you got an extra point. So that was kind of cool, a little piece of nugget. All right, so no action on bottom. Now the Fort Campbell wrestler chooses top, looks like, or the bottom, or the Flaget wrestler chose bottom, whichever one, because it was reversed. Those singlets and uniforms have to be hot. They have to be.
I think I wrestled in one of those when I was in high school, so yeah, they were hot. I was one of the first wrestlers on my team to take the tights off because it was too hot to wear the tights.
And that's actually a rule change now. So we got an escape. I think he gave an escape right there. One of the rule changes coming up for the 23-24 season is the leggings no longer have to have the stirrups on them. 'Cause,
I wrestled in the stirrups.
whew. So I think it's 3-0. The Flaget wrestler is back to us. So Fort Campbell's he's got to turn it on here. Up. There's a clash of the heads.
The coach for Fort Campbell this time is Marshall Patterson too. He's in the KHSAA Double Hall of Fame.
Really?
Yeah, for football and for wrestling. He started the wrestling program there.
Yeah, Fort Campbell, man, they've had some studs come through there.
Very good history, yes. Their hardest time is keeping kids just because it's the military post.
We got a half.
To a cradle.
Half to a cradle. I think we're going to get a pin here, looks like. Up.
Let go of the head.
It's amazing how far technique has come.
Right.
Oh. Give the Flaget wrestler credit. Fought off of it. Even with terrible technique.
Yes. He's going to try the hook and roll, and he caught him.
There it is.
Wow.
And I believe he got the fall right there. And there's somebody picking him up. So, and that one is where the match ends. So, I know it's kind of hard to compare 1969 wrestling to 2023 wrestling, but one thing that we have found in doing this is what was effective then is still effective now. I mean,
yes.
He ran a half, maybe not the most technically sound half you'll ever see, but it was still a half, and he was able, it looks like, to get a fall. Hard to kind of tell there, but
that was always my philosophy. If you can take him down, if you get a takedown, a breakdown, and a pin combination, you're going to win most matches.
You're going to be, and we talked about letting go of the head. I mean, kids, anytime that you're in a half, you always want to roll to your belly. You always want to belly down, Coach.
Yeah, belly down.
You always, if you're able to look up and count lights when you're in a pin, you are in trouble. So always try to go to your belly. So, Coach, do you have anything to wrap this one up? Any advice you give to new wrestlers or anybody in the sport currently?
Yeah, biggest thing is come out and enjoy yourself, but understand that it's an individual sport, but it helps that you have those teammates and people who are willing to work. And you're going to get from wrestling what you put into it. Mm-hmm. It's not like any other sport. I think it's the most unique, but best sport you can possibly participate in. We have kids that have gone winless in elementary or middle school, and then they come back the next season and they win, and they go to state, and you can see the progression, and that's because those kids are putting the work in.
I got you.
That's one of the biggest things this sport requires, is you're going to have to put a little work in order to get you to what you want to do.
And you've had some great wrestlers come through. You had AJ Green,
yes.
Chris Perry,
yes.
Anthony Smith come through with
yes.
you. I believe you coached D, correct?
Yes, I did.
Unfortunately, right? No, I'm kidding. Then you had Nico.
I had Nico. And Corey Mayer was my first as a head coach, mm-hmm. state champion. And then we finished second in 2020.
2020.
And that was the year I was also named the coach of the year, so that was kind of a special moment for me.
And that Union County team, they were,
yes.
I put them on my Mount Rushmore of best high school team Kentucky's ever seen. And a little sneak peek into my next Mount Rushmore.
I won't argue that. They beat us by 100.
Is the best teams not to win it. And Christian County 2020 may find a spot etched into the stone, because there wasn't, they probably could have won a national level tournament. They had, I think, 10 in the finals, yes. 10, 11. Just a phenomenal.
We had 7 that placed that year.
Yeah.
And any other year we would have won state.
Oh, yeah, going away. Actually, whenever
you got to give excellence credit.
Whenever I posted the Mount Rushmore of the best teams, in my opinion, there was 2 or 3 people from across the state. They said something to that effect of had it been any other year, Christian County's winning another team title, and I truly believe that. So, man, thank you for having
Thank
me.
you.
For having me down here today.
Appreciate
Really
it.
appreciate it, and kind of Fort Campbell connection, serving time there, or I guess depending how you talk to people in the military, they either were stationed there or they served time like they're in prison. You know what I'm saying? Man, I served 4 years there instead of I was stationed there. Depends on how you look at it, right?
Well, we spent, like I said, we spent quite a bit of time here in Fort Campbell's home.
I got you. No, I understand. Well, that's all we got from 1969. It was good to get this on here and get a perspective of somebody that, you know, maybe not wrestled in '69, but was from, you know, spent time at Fort Campbell. That way, you know, I love being able to make the connection. So that's all we got. We'll see you guys on the mats.